Okay, land loan refinance. Now, this is only if you are thinking of refinancing this loan at a certain point. So you went to one lender and they gave you some sort of a short-term loan, and then after the short-term loan was done, you had to refinance it to another lender before you finally got it refinanced into a construction finance loan. So that is the main purpose of this. If it is not applicable to you, don't worry about it. Always select no over here, and you don't have to worry about this section. But if this happens, and you need to be able to see what, because they have different interest rates or whatever, for whatever reason they are a little bit different from each other, and you need to add the interest from the second refinance loan as well to your development costs. That's when you use this section. So let's see what it actually does, and then we'll go and we'll switch it back to no, so that you don't have to worry about it. So what we're trying to do is refinance this loan at 1.2, and we're gonna refinance the full loan, pay out the first lender, and switch it over here. Now this was now we'll have to change this because I do not want to go ahead. You see our timeline? Our timeline is here. We start here and we finish here. So what I don't want to do is push back all of this, because that means I'll have to go and change the different dates that I've used here. So to keep things in perspective, let's go back here. What I'm going to do is, so instead of the loan duration of 6 months, let's make that 3 months. And we're going to change this to yes. And now we know that we are going to use this land finance for 3 months, and then we are going to pay this land refinance out over here. Now, before I do anything, what I need to do is make sure that I haven't paid this loan out now, because all these calculations are going to change, the numbers are going to change, all these things are going to happen. So last we had already pressed the save and refresh button. Right now we've taken that off because that doesn't really matter, because we've gone back and changed the land finance details and your loan refinance details. Another thing I want to change here is that my interest rate for the first loan was 5%, but in the second loan is going to be about 7%. So the first thing we need to do is, what does that affect? How would that change? How are these things going to happen? Now, there's not going to be any difference here because we kept the total timeline to 6 months to what we already had. So let's press save and refresh and see what happens to this. Now, this is, I know this is, people are going to say, oh, it's, it takes a while, it does all those things, but you see how quickly that happened. It doesn't take that long. So once this is done, press save and next, and it will take you to your next sheet, and it'll do the calculation, take you to the next sheet. And once I'm in the next sheet, because I am not changing anything in this over here, I'm gonna go save and next, make sure that all these calculations get recalculated one more time. Just in case, I don't think there will be any changes in there, because the finance has no impact on our construction cost and our market value, and neither does it have any impact on this. But this is just a precautionary way of moving forward, so that we've got save and next set up at every step. So now here you'll see that some of these costs will appear here if I press save and refresh. But now that we are just working on the finance section, I'm gonna go, well, for the purpose of this video, let's just do a save and refresh instead of save and next. But in real life, when you're doing or making these changes, you just go save and next onto the next sheet. So, but for this purpose, I just want to show you, because if there is anything, any GST that it would have captured by now that we have already saved, it'll pop down where this 0 is. So let's go save and refresh one time, and it'll show you how these how the numbers from the finance sheet, or even if it is just for the land loan at the moment, if there was a section there which had GST in it, which was probably the loan setup fee, so that GST will get captured here and come onto this sheet. So I'm gonna go save and next over here, and then in another video we'll come back here and I'll show you what's happening there. So save and next, and we are going into our finance sheet. Now that we have changed these values, we know that everything is great. Now we just make sure that all of them are showing you a green okay. If it shows you a green okay, then everything is okay. Now we've got, all these values are here, but we have a section that says no, but we haven't refreshed it as yet. So now that we've changed these things, we have refreshed all these 4 sheets, but we just got to finance and we haven't refreshed it. So let's go save and refresh, and you'll see that the main impact you'll see is over here. So let me just zoom out a little bit and show you what will happen as soon as it's done refreshing this sheet. So in practical real life, you wouldn't even pay attention to what is happening because all these details, everything, they are not of any concern to you at all. So what it is doing right now, it is saying, hey, I did this, and then I paid the money out over here, and I've got 1.2 mil. So now in here, what we're doing is we are getting the full loan refinance. So as you see, there is no LVR in the land loan refinance. It is for a reason, because when you refinance, it may or may not be based on an LVR. That is why I gave a full opportunity for people to just put in a value. So you would know how much money you'll be able to get if you are refinancing. So if you know that number, just plug in that number, and that's how it would work. So right now, we paid interest on the 960 amount, and then we're going to pay the 960 out. And we are also going to pay our land loan refinance out as well. So I can come in here and put in 1.2 million, because at the end of that term, I'm paying that amount out completely over here. So as we go into our construction finance, I'll show you how each of these will impact. But we are now calculating interest for 3 months on 7%, and for the first 3 months on 5%. We have our different rates of the loan setup fee. We have our loan application fee. And if there is a land refinance fee monthly, if there is a straight line to see, there's nothing allocated over here. So I can come in and say, look, it's gonna be about for 3 months, it's going to be, I don't know, 50 bucks a month or 150 bucks or something like that. So when I click on this and when I add these values here and I click on save and refresh, this is going to plant all these values, get rid of our error messages in this section, and move so that we can then move on to our next section. So most of these land finance, land loan refinance, mezzanine finance, and developers equity, they are very similar to each other in terms of what you need to add in them and what you need to do, because all we are trying to do is capture the interest for that amount and make sure that there is a cash flow to fund those developments. But in construction finance, it's a little bit different, and I'll explain that to you in detail when we get to our construction finance section. But for now, we have a land loan refinance sorted. It's all done, it's all okay, and we refinance the loan. So you'll see that it goes on till this end and then comes back here, and funds used to pay out loan 1, 960, balance remaining after refinance 240, and it'll capture the interest from here. So this is just to, I zoom out of these things every now and then. I know it gets really small on the screen, but it is only to show you what is going on. So next we'll get into our funding table, and I'll explain you how those things are coming together. So let's go back, let's close this, and I'll see you in the next video.